Welcome to Raw Urban Sessions. I'm your host, Ash, and I'm here with Boricua Guitar Power. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
You're so
glad to be here.
It was an honor to witness your concert and this song that you just played.
Well, we had the pleasure of working together, so, you know, also with your singing bowls.
Yeah, that was really cool.
That
and
was
I'm really
great,
cool
yes.
to see you in your element with all of your instruments.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you, what made you choose guitar as your instrument?
I was very little living in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I just picked it up. And I started playing what was like a plastic guitar and Christmas came up in Milwaukee, and everybody got their toys and everything. And then my father said, "You're not going to open your present?" And I said, "What present?" There was 5 of us, 3 girls and 2 boys. I was the smallest. I said, "What present?" And in the corner there was a box, and that was my first guitar. And my father was a minister of Pentecostal church. So he had this beautiful Martin guitar that eventually I sold many, many years later for a lot of money. But that was my first guitar. And once I got my first guitar, that was it.
And how old were you, did you say?
About 9, 10 years old. So, you know, a young boy.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And what made you go with your name?
Pupa, the name Pupa, or?
The name Boricua Guitar Power.
Oh, Boricua Guitar Power was a friend of mine in Texas, Kenny Tirado. We grew up in Calle, Puerto Rico. And Kenny went off to be in the Air Force and moved to Texas. I went to visit him at Texas. And he said to me, "Never forget to be Boricua." In other words, have pride from where you come from. And I took that at heart, and I said, you know what? because I'm kind of eclectic when I play my music, I'm going to do the Boricua guitar power. And it stuck, and I kept on doing it. To this day, I've been doing it. So
That's a great name.
yeah, it's a great name.
It's
It's
very-
representing, you
For
know.
sure, for sure. It's an embodiment of who you are, what you represent, where you come from.
And you know, Puerto Ricans have a knack for different styles of music, and that's why Boricua guitar power is really just representing that Boricuas, Puerto Ricans, are very eclectic to music. We're known for our salsa and for our Latin music, but you know, you got great players that have played with David Bowie and with different great musicians throughout the world. So that's what Boricua guitar power is representing. So all those genres of music in the guitar genre. So, you know, including Jeff Beck, Santana, because there's a lot of great guitar players out there.
Up next, we have Moment of Breath. Welcome back. So this last song was called A Moment of Breath, and I wanted to ask you, how do you do it? Like, how do you get the guitar and your instrument to just tell a story without the actual vocals in the song that you just played? It was just so incredible. And
You know, it's funny that you say that because a lot of people tell me that I'm kind of like a storyteller through my music and through my instrument.
sure.
And when I was very young, I was living in Arecibo, town of Puerto Rico, and we had our house right by the road, and the beach was right there. So a lot of people walk by and whatever, and I would set up my amplifier and do improv. I've always loved to improvise. Most musicians will learn a song, and then they go out and they find people that know that song, and they'll play that song. With me, I love to improvise. There was just something about creating a rhythm and doing that. And I remember one day, I met these two gentlemen, young guys, that overheard the music, and they said, "Can we come in? You know, you're playing music." And I said, "Yeah, sure." So I started playing. And the guy said something that I had never heard before. He said to his friend, "He's a jammer, he's a jammer." He kept on saying, "He's a jammer." And I'm saying, "A jammer? What's a jammer?" And it was somebody that likes to improv at the moment. So a lot of the stuff that I do, are songs, are compositions, but a lot of this stuff that I'm doing today, it's on the spot improvisation. And I'm using my loopers, and my loopers let me create a voice or a rhythm or a pattern. I can do it for as long as I want, and then I can start building on top of that. And when I build, I can do harmonies, I can do rhythms, and then I can do solos. So it's you know, it's a process, but I've learned how to do it, and I kind of like to do it. I enjoy doing it.
It's really cool, like how you layer the different sounds and like how you're just doing it all on the spot, and it's like you're connected, you know? It's like the music is flowing through you and telling a story of like the moment or whatever what you're thinking of or feeling, and
Yes,
it's like,
yeah.
it's very much so felt in the room.
Yeah, and you know, when you're doing something live like that, you always run the risk that your balance might not be right, or you might hit a wrong note. So you have to learn how to work with that. You know, there have been big musicians that have always said, there's never a bad note. It's really what you do after that bad note and stuff like that. So I kind of take that to heart. I like to experiment and just start creating either rhythms or melodies or patterns. And so that first song that I was doing is more of a softer version of that. So you can extend the notes, and then the other ones are a little bit faster, more rhythmic, you know, because of the Latino influence, you know. So.
And this one was called A Moment of Breath. And
Yeah.
do you feel like that's something that you tend to do, like in the process of creating music, taking that moment of breath? It came through in so many different ways where it's like you would let it breathe and then you would come back, and it was almost like meditation through guitar.
Well, you know, I do a lot of lessons, and one of the things that I've noticed, even with myself and other musicians, that when you're playing, you stop breathing and you hold your breath. So a lot of times when I'm with my students, I'll be telling them, take a breath. And they realize, oh damn, I'm not breathing. So they take the breath. So, you know, the artistic side, you're taking a breath, but you're also just taking your time. So let the notes and the sounds and the delays and the panning and everything just find its way. It's like being at the beach and letting the waves roll in and roll back out, you know, so.
Thank you so much for sharing your insight on that.
Thank you.
And let's get back into some more music. we're back again. So could you tell us a little bit about the instrument you have in your hand?
Well, this is a typical cuatro from Puerto Rico. It's a 10-string, and it's tuned a little different. This is a B, this is an E, this is an A, this is a D, and this is a G. It's double strings. And some of the tracks that you were hearing from the looping is actually the cuatro in the background. It kind of sounds like a 12-string, but the chords are a little different. It's a beautiful instrument, and this one, the story with this one was that I was doing a block party with my backup tracks, doing my Boricua guitar power thing, and after the middle of the show, I see this young gentleman standing beside me doing like this, and I look at him and I say, yeah, it's a cuatro. And he says, yeah, it's a cuatro, it's for you. He gave me the cuatro. So even though I've had cuatros from a very young age, I've never really picked it up and started playing. I know fantastic cuatro players. It's a complicated instrument. But what I'm good at is improvising and just creating at the moment. So like I said, the tracks, some of the tracks that I was using with the looper, the cuatro was incorporated in some of those tunes. So
you're like a freestyle guitarist in that way.
Yes. And I've always been like that. I can pretty much listen to stuff and right away I can find something to play to it. Once again, some people, they need to learn a song, if it's Stairway to Heaven or whatever it is. I can learn songs, but I can also just hear the melody and understand where I need to be right away,
And in this last number that we watched you play, it's like, it looks like you'll go on a journey. Could you let us into where it is that you go when you start playing music?
I'm a very emotional person. I'm affected by a lot of things, just like everybody else, but for me, it's a feeling of sadness, happiness, all mixing together, and sometimes I'm really like trying not to shed the tears because it's overwhelming for me. So it's when I start hitting something it just feels right, it just takes me to that place, and I like sharing it. I really do like sharing it. But it just overwhelms me at times, Other stuff, it's just fun. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. I'm doing it. It's fun. It's rhythmic. But a lot of times there'll be a moment, and that's why I love improv, because you never know where it's going to take you and where it's going to lead you, and sound will do that. It will do that to you, yeah. And with the guitar, being creative can be just making sound. You don't need to be in the proper note or this or that. It could just be abstract. And a lot of people, they relate to that. They might not relate to when it's really in harmony, but they might relate to when it gets abstract. So I do a little bit of everything. The harmonic and the abstract goes well together, I think. At least I think,
And this number was called Mujeres
de Ritmo. Mujeres de Fuego, I'm sorry. My friends in Puerto Rico had the band, the name Mujeres de Fuego. And so I just, the vibe of it is like upbeat and happy, and it made me think of them, because that's the way they were. They were so proud of playing their music. They had all-female band, and it was just wonderful. So, Mujeres de Fuego.
And what is your relation with fire?
My relationship
with fire.
Oh, well, it's funny that you say that, because usually I have a Stratocaster with me, and my Stratocaster has the number 343. And the reason it has the number 343, because that's the amount of people that passed away in the World Trade Center. So it's kind of like a dedication to them, So, yeah.
And now we have one last improv song from Pupa. And we're back again. So where could we find you? Where can we find your music? Do you have any upcoming shows or a website or anything that we can
Okay,
find you on?
you know, the social medias, you can find me on Facebook, Pupa Santiago Pupa. And YouTube, you can find my videos on YouTube, Skyview Studio, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for coming
my
on to the
pleasure,
show. It
really.
was an honor to hear you play and like just be witness to it. And yeah, if you could ever see Pupa play live, I strongly recommend it. It is a whole journey. Like, you are an incredible artist.
Thank you.
And it's really great. Now I get to work with you 2 times, so I'm
Thank
so
you.
grateful
Yes,
for
that's
it.
true, yes.
Yeah, shout out to Kim for bringing such incredible people together. And yeah, thank you so much for tuning in with us. I'm your host, Ash. It was an honor to be here, and we'll see you next time.